If you want more clients and to hit 50K months inside your service-based business, you need to quit dreaming big immediately. In this video, I'm going to cover a little about who I am, why you need to stop dreaming big, the problem with it, how to do it, the solution, a secret weapon to help you when fear and doubt get in the way, but that doesn't even make sense right now. And if you don't know why you should listen to me, my name is Arius Williams. I've been coaching entrepreneurs, and over the last year, we've added over $1.2 million in annual recurring revenue through boosting our clients and helping them find the equilibrium, which is what you really need to be focusing on instead of dreaming big, right? See, the problem is, and the reason why dreaming big destroys your business is because something called equilibrium, right? And this is obviously something I made and something I talked about. And I know you guys can hear me as I'm walking off. Don't worry, anybody can do this business. But your equilibrium is something that you are already doing each and every single day throughout your business. And it's not really about not doing it and doing it. It's about aligning it to the correct path and way you want to go. So that way you can have everything you want in your business, right? We have clients that have done this. My recent coaching client, Phil, scaled from 10 to 50K a month, basically applying this exact same principle. So our equilibrium, as you guys can see here, is made up of three main pillars, and this is actually part one of a three-part series where we're going to go over each of these pillars and how to reach the best equilibrium you can as a business owner. But of these three pillars, we have first our identity, our emotions, and our actions. Okay. And the problem with dreaming big in general, when people say just, dream big, you get big results. And people start and have these crazy goals that are unbelievable to yourself and to your identity. We have some chaos that ensues. See, what happens is one of our pillars, if our goal is to have more clients and to have 50K months, well, when we start trying to find equilibrium with that goal and we start to take our emotions and our actions, and what happens is when we dream big, bigger than our identity can handle, our emotions get out of whack, and then our actions. And once one pillar is off within equilibrium, the entire triangle starts to wobble and fall. So it doesn't really matter which one is starting to be affected, but dreaming big and bigger than where your identity is fitting at, and not having a clear dream versus a big dream and simply just making a bigger goal just for the sake of it will cause this disresonance and chaos, right? So the solution here is not to dream bigger, but to dream more clear. And I'm going to talk about exactly how to do that. But first, what I really want to get into is some of the things that happen when we are just dreaming big only, and we're in a disresonant state of equilibrium, or at least one that does not match up with our goals. So because the truth is that you're always in a state of equilibrium. You are always in a state that is aligned between your identity, emotions, and actions. But when we are chasing a certain goal that requires a certain state, if we're not in the same equilibrium as that goal, then we're not going to achieve it. And a couple things that are going to happen here. When you get on sales calls, you're going to have a lot of problems, right? You're not going to be, your close rate's going to go down. You're going to have a lot more resistance than usual when you're talking to people, or even if you don't do sales calls, just in general, when you try to share things about your business, your content is going to constantly seem disingenuous. You might start doing silly stuff like chasing trends and doing all this and never know what to make, because you're always looking for something, because you're in a state of equilibrium. Why? Because this goal and dream that you have is so big, because you went to a conference or read a book that's like, you can make 100K a month, and you can. Don't get it twisted. You absolutely can. But the problem is if we're not in equilibrium about how to dream that way and how to correctly visualize so that way we are in that state, then all of these things are going to happen. We're going to have issues with our content. We're going to have issues with our sales calls. Our messaging is going to be unclear. And then all of that is going to have your price and offer all the way jacked up. The reason you can't dream big your way to more clients and 50K months only is because you get overwhelmed by the big goal if it's not in equilibrium with your identity and your actions right now. right? And this is a clear state. So the emotions that people really are in, because a lot of the times I talk to and I work with specifically entrepreneurs who do personal development. They've already watched videos like this. You're already, read the books and done the things. And despite all that, you keep just dreaming big and making these things so big and making your personal spirit small at the same time. And this can lead us to a couple of negative downward effects and emotions, especially being isolation. Because when you dream big and you feel like nobody in your team or family or life or whatever the situation has the same goals. I had a client that was going through this exact same thing where she was feeling like she just was ready for the next thing. I want to do the next thing all the time. But the people that she was sharing that with and had this big goals with, they were not in the same state of equilibrium. So now, instead of, at the time, her dream was just to dream bigger and bigger, but it wasn't clear on the who and how she was supposed to grow bigger, right? She was just focusing on getting better. And so she was taking that dream to her current support system and they were not qualified. So then they would give her limiting beliefs that would throw off her state of equilibrium and also make her feel like she's alone and has to do it all herself. And then it's just this continuing the fight. Like if you guys have dealt with any of this, please put it in the comments below and you understand this negative cycle, how it can feed, right? And just like we're talking about, overwhelm. Right? That's the next thing. We're isolated, we're overwhelmed. We have a ridiculous amount of task avoidance. Okay? So when you try to dream big, how many people watching this video have done this? Again, you go to a conference, you watch a video, you get inspired, whatever the case is, and then you make these huge plans for how you're going to accomplish all this stuff in one singular day, despite knowing for the fact that you've been in a state of dysregulation for the last 6 months. And so when you go to do the thing, because this has got to be the way to get to your big dream, to get out, you're trying to have faith, you're doing pseudo positivity, you get overwhelmed. And then the smallest task seems overwhelming. Just making the post, just going through and fixing that email automation, fixing your Calendly link, fixing the Zapier zaps, or making the community, doing the course over, getting the, whatever the case is. Like these are all things that actually don't require that much effort unless we're in a state of equilibrium that says that they do or don't, right? We have a really hard time with this. Okay. The other thing is you have a lack when you're in these states. You'll have a lack of fundamental gratitude. Okay, here's the reality check. Most entrepreneurs I work with and watching this video have already, right now, at this current state, I don't care where your business is, you're living the life 5 to 7 years ago that you wanted. And that at least at that state of equilibrium truly believed and identified with at that time. And we lose sight of this when we're in internal chaos. We lose sight of this when we're deep in the trenches and it feels like nothing's going on and we feel like we can't get through it and we're having all these issues inside of our business despite knowing that our offer can help people, knowing that we have the skills to actually get to people and just being constantly overwhelmed. But then we go to read these books and we watch some videos on here and they're like, dream big. It's disheartening because you feel like you have been dreaming big and you feel like you have been taking action, but your emotions and identity are never lining up. So it's impossible to get the results you're looking for, right? But the truth that is kind of hard to understand and really difficult is that you are living in equilibrium every day, but just with negative things. This is something that took me a long time to understand. So maybe you'll have to watch the video again. Hopefully this makes sense. But you say things and believe them throughout the day, especially within these processes, and then when we're in chaos mode, that are fully in alignment of equilibrium, just within a negative state. Now, I know this doesn't sound like, what I mean is we say things like, we get on the call and it's a lead is on the call that maybe we had to push a little bit to get booked the call, and it's 15 minutes before the call is supposed to happen, and you say to yourself, nah, he probably won't even show up. But it's a short, sweet, but deadly level of belief in equilibrium when we say these things, because our heart is not confused about this. It has no questions. Our emotions, identity, and actions, they're all aligned, saying that this is 100% a real thing that could happen and likely will happen. We put no second thought to it. We completely detach. Let me ask you this. When you dream bigger than you're normally used to, how comfortable does that feel? like, how real does it feel? When you say to the world, I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to end world hunger. I'm going to, just absolutely have so much money. I could buy YouTube, right? It just doesn't, there's no emotions over here when we solely dream big, and when we especially dream in a way that does not have the level of heart in it. So the key here is having our heart and our mind aligned through all of this, right? And so I'm going to give you a practical example of how to dream correctly and have a vision that's correct, that is clear, within equilibrium, and will not throw you into chaos. I'm going to show you by example, okay? First, I got to let you know, everybody, about the Apple voice. If you're new here to the channel, if you're not, you know what I'm going to say, right? I want you watching this video to say the word Apple without saying it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is the space that we're talking about. This is the observer. This is you, that voice, right? That's the one dreaming big. If this Apple voice is not in alignment and it is too much of a dream and it doesn't think it's real, then it becomes, the identity starts to tumble over here. And then we stop taking actions because we don't believe that they're actually going to do anything. And then our emotions start firing up and we're tripping, right? We don't know what's going on. So the first step in getting rid of this, so the part 3 of the pillars, is clarity. Extreme clarity, not the normal type, not the kind everybody talks about, the kind that is 8K definition of clarity. Okay. And this is what I mean, the difference, right? When you say, I want to be a billionaire, well, what does that mean for you? If you don't even actually know and have thought about what you would do if your goals were real, like beyond the material things, beyond the little stuff that you're tired of not being able to buy because you can't, who are you going to share it with? I want to show you a difference. And I want you to say to yourself, I'm going to be a billionaire. Just like that. You should feel about nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right, now second, if you're really locked in and if you're watching this video, it should be the key here for you. I want you to close your eyes and visualize a scene where you're saying to yourself, I am so proud that I realized I made it. That I'm finally in a place that I can give back to the people who have helped me get here. That I can go out and do and be able to be that difference in the world. And then here's the part where it gets clear, because that's not enough. I need you to visualize whoever the person it is that you're thinking of right now, actually being there with you, sharing that achievement, looking you in the eyes, understanding that you did it and they knew you would do it, and then saying to you, I am so proud. I always knew you would do it. That's one hell of a clear vision. See, the billionaire part, you might be a billionaire to get there. I don't know. You don't know. You might be able to have that already. You might be able to get that next day. The point is, if we're clear about what we actually want out of it, which is giving back to this person who I love, which is providing the thing, not these arbitrary big goals that we think would help us, but if we instead focus clearly on what is the tangible result that you want from hitting 50K a month. Why do you want more clients? What are you even doing this for? What's the point? That level of clarity, it pulls on our heart. It transforms things, right? Jim Rohn says there's, we don't know why it works. I'm not really concerned in the why, but it does. When you ask with such clarity, you oftentimes receive it. But most of us watching this video, most of us stuck below 20K a month, we don't. We don't ask with that level of belief and that level of heart and mind alignment and equilibrium when it's positive, big, dreaming things. That's why you shouldn't do it. Every time you do that and you don't figure it out and don't get into that alignment, you start to get into alignment with the negative, lower version of yourself and taking actions from that old. So this is the solution on how you should correctly dream. But like I said, I want to give you guys a secret weapon here that you can use to have fear slayed and doubt running, as I've drawn by my Picasso-like drawing here. But we have to understand something, right? Because even if you watch this video and you have a clear, dream and vision now after seeing this, you're no longer saying silly things like, I'm just going to make 100K a month, and don't have any deeper levels of connection or clarity to that, right? You're still going to face something called the growth to resistance curve. Okay, so up here we have our resistance and growth slash are goals. Okay. And as you get closer to your goal this way, the resistance from the old identities, old habits, fear, they also rise. You have more difficult times as you get closer to doing the things that you want to do. How many of you watching this video had a record month? It was the best month ever. You thought you were on top of the world, and then it was followed by your worst month. Because as soon as you had the record month, you were dreaming so big that this will never have this problem again. I'll never have to worry about this. I got this. The dream inflated, but it inflated past the point of your identity and emotions. So then there starts to be negative drawback about that. And then the moment the results don't line up and you start to realize, dang, I'm really not doing this, then where does the equilibrium shift to? More negative things. I'll never do this. This is so difficult. I'm back to it. As I always build it and then it crashes, right? So what do? This is a secret weapon here, okay? It's called the anti-vision. Now, big warning before I go into this, huge warning, okay? Please do not focus on this weapon. This is a secret emotional and mental weapon to only be used when you are in deep states of emotional chaos and dysresonance. When the shit has hit the fan, as Jim Rohn says, the winter is here. When you're there, you can do this to get back on track, and then you need to refocus on the clear vision that we talked about before. Not this. This is just when it's really hard. Maybe you've been dreaming big for too long, you're beat down. Let's pull this weapon out, right? We want to focus for just a moment on all of the things that you do not want. Okay? What kind of house do you not want to live in? You want one with just one windows and this half-finished roof like I've done? Do you want a truck that's goofy and has a single cab and even though you got a family of 10? Like, I don't know. What is the thing that you don't want to happen? What is the feeling? Who are the people you don't want to disappoint? What do you not want to do? Now, again, we can't focus here. If we live in equilibrium here, we'll get those results. But when you're in a state of feeling like, I just can't do this thing, even though I know it's going to help me, even though I know that I'm right here towards my goal, and that getting on this, making this video or going with this mentor or doing this thing or sending the text to the client or getting on the sales call or raising my price, changing the offer, whatever the thing is you're worried about that's causing you to be in distress on your way to your goal, for just a moment, we have to remind ourselves of what we don't want to happen and how much we don't want it to happen. Why? Because humans are hardwired to remove themselves and remove pain versus seeking pleasure. It's in your brain. It's in your chemistry. So again, we can't do this all the time, because if you just focus on like, I don't want it, 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 you're just thinking about the thing too much. But in moments when you've been chasing on this dream, specifically what we're talking about here, when you normally are dreaming big, but you're dreaming too big. And because you've been dreaming too big, you're starting to lose faith in yourself. And right when you think, okay, well, I don't have faith in myself, so I should just throw in the towel and scrap this whole thing. This is when you need to remind yourself of the anti-vision. I had a similar situation. We were in our business the first year. I was struggling to make content. I didn't know how to find the people that I could help. I knew I had the ability and the gift to help people one-on-one with every single person that I actually worked with. Unbelievable results. But I was no longer in a state of equilibrium because I was dreaming bigger than my current identity. And I didn't know what to do. And I was ready to quit. But at one singular moment, I thought about what it would be like to have to give up, to have to tell everybody I throw in the towel, to know that all the people, maybe you watching this video getting help from this now, right, that they would never have got that help if I continued to play small. This is enough of a spark to kill your self-doubt and fear and allow you to get back on track. Okay, so we've covered a lot of things, and clarity is the first step in finding out and getting to your ideal state of equilibrium consistently, so you can hit 50K months like my clients inside the accelerator, and just be happy, right? Because all the money aside, genuinely, if you can reach equilibrium, it does not matter how much you make. You've already made it, and you're doing what you're supposed to. So next steps for you guys, if you want to sub to either the newsletter or here on YouTube, so you can see the next two videos. Again, really just focus on only applying this pillar though. Just try to get more clear on your vision this week. Don't try to do 1,000 things. That's like doing the problem. You didn't watch the video, I guess. Watch it again. But like, just focus on creating clarity, true clarity in your vision, and that will help you keep higher states of equilibrium and more aligned with your goals. We'll go into how to shift your identity and how to take better actions to help you steer that further. And then also, if you have the courage, allow yourself to dream more clearly and bigger. I know I spent the whole time demonizing dreaming big, but I'm just saying dreaming big by itself is not good. If you can add the clarity to it to where your heart is aligned and you feel an equilibrium, and it should be yours. But just make sure we keep it there. All right, gang. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to know more about working with me, check the description. Love.